and welcome to another D&D Stories. I'm not really sure when this episode is going to air. I filmed an extra couple of episodes just in case something should come up, whether I be sick or busy doing something or traveling or what have you. If I was right in the middle of something and couldn't produce a regular episode of D&D Stories, I filmed a couple of extras. So here I am. Sorry for the static image. It is me. You can tell by the voice. Most of the people that watch this show have it minimized anyway while they're playing Minecraft or World of Warcraft or whatever, so you probably shouldn't mind it anyway. Today's story spans back into when I was in middle school and the rise of the middle school gaming club and how it came to be. Now, I know I'm usually talking about tabletop RPGs or different things like that, but sometimes it's the Gamers Guild, it's the gaming club, it's the other people that you're around that really make for some of the best stories. So, kind of a remember the time when kind of thing, except this would have been all the way back in like 6th or 7th grade. So I'm going to start from the bare bones beginning and work my way up through how this gaming club came to be. And it does have to do with Four Swords. That's why I picked this picture. So this was before Four Swords Adventure, before the GameCube game or the any of that stuff. This was back when Four Swords came as an extra on the Link to the Past Game Boy Advance game. It was just like this 4 dungeon mini game, that came with like different levels of difficulty and or different levels of keys, and even if you beat all the best levels or you attained all the golden keys or whatever, there wouldn't be anything else. It was just 4 levels, but it was called Four Swords, and so to play it properly, you could play it with 2 people, but to really get the good experience, you needed 4 people. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So starting back at the beginning, once upon a time, while I was in middle school, and I had my little group of friends, and all of us at the end of the school day were what you call car riders. That is, we didn't take the bus home from school. Our parents would come to pick us up at the end of the school day, which was fine. If they're getting off from work, they would swing by the school and just pick us up, and the buses would have one less stop to make, which was cool. And to like stay out of everybody's way, because there's the janitor who's working after school, there's teachers running back and forth with paperwork. Just because the students are gone doesn't mean the school shuts down. There's a lot of stuff still going on. So while we were waiting for our parents, me and my 3 friends, Jennifer, let's change their names, Jennifer, Alex, and Aaron, let's call them that. The 4 of us would sit in this little alcove next to the library, just like out of the way. That door was always locked because there were other doors into the library. We'd sit in this little alcove with our Game Boys, and we would play Pokemon, or we would like get our binders out like little lap tables and play games of Yu-Gi-Oh! And things like that. Waiting for the 10 or 15 minutes, whatever it happened to be, for our respective moms and dads to come pick us up at the end of the school day. And one day, this really weird thing happened. One of the teachers, I don't even remember who she was or what subject she taught, but she walked past us with this big armload of paperwork and scolded us for being in this alcove playing our Game Boys. And she's like, that's not something that's you should be doing at school. Or, that's not something that's really school appropriate, sitting there playing on your Game Boys. Or something like that. And I don't know what her problem was, because it wasn't school hours, and, we weren't in detention or anything. And we definitely weren't staying there to study. We were waiting for our parents to pick us up. And she, just stopped and berated us one day. And, of course, we ignored her, because we're 6th graders, and we're just hitting that pubescent era where we start to think adults are stupid. And the next time, the next day, we paid her absolutely no heed. The next day, she came back, because the school was built roughly like a circle. So, if you wanted to get to a certain hallway, you had to walk around the circle until you came to the branching hallway that went away from the circle. So she had to pass by this alcove no matter where she was going. And she got even angry. She was like, didn't I tell you guys yesterday, sitting there playing those games, it's not something you should be doing at school. And it's like, well, what do we even say to her? Number one, she's a teacher. Number two, you can't really argue with stupid. So, we put our Game Boys away and wait for her to walk away. Then we get them back out again, of course, because we're in 6th grade and we think adults are stupid. And it got to a point where she would either wait for us in that alcove, or she would always come by right after school and stand there, helping direct traffic as everybody was leaving, and make sure that we weren't there. I was like, well, what are we going to do now? We've got 10 or 15 minutes every day after school to sit and do nothing because this lady will not leave us alone. And I started looking around and I was like, well, her only reasoning is that it's something we shouldn't be doing at school. But there's, we've got a chess club, we've got a music club, we've got a drama club, a woodcutting club, or not a woodcutting club, but a carpentry club. Our middle school had a ton of selection when it came to clubs, but for some reason gaming, she didn't like that. And I was like, okay, well, what if we had a gaming club? Just officially just endorsed by the school or whatever. Or, I probably didn't use the word endorsed in 6th grade, but officially backed up by the school. Then she'd have to piss off, right? And we all go, yeah. But how do we do that? How do you start a club? And I was like, I don't know. Give me a day. I'll figure something out. Or give me a few days. I'll figure out how to make this work. And the next day in English class, we were working on our portfolios. And if you've never been to an American school, or if you haven't been to a school like this, one of the main things that you have to do in middle school and high school is something called a writing portfolio, where you have to do one of every type of writing out there to show that you've been taught how to do it. You have to write a business letter, you have to write a persuasive essay, you have to write a short story, a series of poems, just a little bit of everything. And then you put it into this folder, and somebody at the Board of Education can just check off basically that you've learned each type of writing as you've gone through the grades at school. And that particular day that we were doing for our writing portfolios happened to be the persuasive letter assignment, in which you were supposed to write somebody and convince them to either do something or to sway their opinion in a certain way. You know what a persuasive letter is. And I thought, wait, what if I wrote a persuasive letter to the principal of our school to persuade her? Her name was Miss Belcher, I think. And yes, we made endless burping jokes about her. But what if I wrote a persuasive letter to Miss Belcher for my assignment to convince her to let us have a gaming club? And, I was talking to my buddies and I said, well, how are we going to do that? How do you convince, a principal to let us start a gaming club? And I said, well, being that we bring our own Game Boys and our own cards and stuff, we don't need money from the school, so that's a big plus. We would only be using one classroom, so that's a big plus. We won't be taking field trips anywhere, so we're not using any of the school's resources. The only thing we would need would be a teacher to look after us, to make sure we're not killing each other or tearing up the school's property. So literally the only thing from the school we would need would be a babysitter to make sure we don't break anything. And so, that having been said, I as we were doing that project that week, I wrote a nice 6-paragraph persuasive letter to the principal. And I took one copy and I put it in my writing portfolio as it should have been. And I took another copy, and I put it in like a nice envelope and sealed it with like a golden sticker or something like that. I don't remember what I used. I was in 6th grade, and I put it in the principal's mailbox. And, less than a week later, I hear from another teacher that says, hey, I heard you wanted to start a gaming club. I wouldn't mind looking after you guys while you're there. And we're just like, yes, score. So my letter got through to the principal, got handed to another teacher, and that teacher agreed, and now we had our gaming club, and we were like, yes, we've got our own thing. What's-her-face can leave us the heck alone. So it was initially just the 4 of us. And then we being that we were an official club now with a teacher to watch after us and permission from the school, we put up flyers and said, hey, gaming club, Thursday afternoons or whatever it was for an hour and a half after school. And, we would just stay at school longer, and our parents would come pick us up after like an hour and a half after school than normal. And we would sit in the classroom and play games. And that could have been, Game Boy games or card games or stuff. We didn't have a television, so we couldn't play video games. And this was before the advent of the PlayStation Network or the Xbox Online stuff. It was like, if somebody had brought a television and a gaming system, it was like a one-time thing. So there were all kinds of board games and just stuff that people brought in. Basically, we didn't need any resources from the school, which was probably one of the main reasons that she said yes. But the teacher that came to look after us, it was a very unique setting for him, because the guy that was looking after us was actually a first-year teacher, like fresh out of college. Like, he was so young. He didn't have like that presence that teachers have where they can like control the classroom just by being there. The kids walked all over him. God, he was a math teacher. His name was Mr. Lentz. And Mr. Lentz, God, you could tell he was really trying, but like, if kids like me were sitting there trying to listen, trying to do the assignments, and the freaking class just like as a whole just kind of walked all over him. They wouldn't do his assignments. They wouldn't take the detention slips he handed out. They wouldn't do anything. He had the principal in there every other day just to keep the classroom quiet. He could not control a classroom in any capacity. The poor guy. And I know how that feels, actually, because, I went to college to be a teacher as well. And being, as young in the face as I am, I look like a high school student to some people. And they don't respect you. They don't. And there's nothing you can really do short of like smacking them upside the head or like putting a shock collar on them in any age group beyond like 6th grade, to where they'll listen and do as you say, unless you've just like got the touch, and Mr. Lentz did not have the touch. So we didn't learn anything from his class, if only because he couldn't keep the class under control long enough to actually teach anything. But one of the things I've learned, after being taught education courses in college, one of the things that most schools require is that you have to be part of at least one extracurricular activity, whether that be a sports team or a club or something. You have to run something that has to do with the students. And being that gaming club was brand new and Mr. Lentz was brand new, he jumped on it right away to fulfill that requirement. It was literally his first year as a teacher, so this new club popped up and he jumped on it. And I knew Mr. Lentz from outside school, and I didn't tell my friends this because the way I knew him was through a Taekwondo class that I was taking. And I didn't get very far in Taekwondo because I'm very bad at memorizing some things. Like, I'm really good at memorizing D&D and stats and crap like that, but like to learn the forms and a bunch of the moves, you had to do like 50 moves in a certain order while people watched you in order to attain different belts. I never got above the first level belt because I just they refused to write the moves down for me or anything like that so that I could practice. So I never got beyond like a white belt. But Mr. Lentz showing up, because he had like just moved into the town and just moved into being a new teacher. So he moved into the local dojo and he had a black belt. And I was like, oh my God, my math teacher is a black belt in Taekwondo. And my God, he was glorious. Just like something straight out of a goddamn action movie. I watched him do forms. I watched the man fight. Dude could twist your head off before you sneezed. I just don't even... If you ever watch like a martial arts tournament, like a real martial arts tournament, not like a Dragon Ball Z bullshit tournament, but like an actual set of people that know how to fight in a martial arts style, going up against people, and you see how breathtaking it is. Oh, I got to see that a lot. Because Seth was his first name was Seth, so I had to call him Seth when we were in Taekwondo. It was weird. Mr. Lentz was already a black belt when he arrived, and he only had like two more levels of belt according to our dojo, and there was like, it wasn't double black, but it was basically double black belt, and then there was like graduation or whatever, where you've got pretty much everything they can teach you. Seth was a black belt, and our teacher was just one level higher than them. So like, while I was waiting to be picked up from Taekwondo, I got to watch my math teacher and my dojo master go at it like fucking superheroes, flipping and kicking and knocking each other over the head faster than I could comprehend. And I'm like, oh my God, this guy teaches high school. He could murder every one of those assholes in his classroom. And probably do it in style. So I had this very strange perspective of the guy that was taking care of us at our little game club was a black belt in Taekwondo. And you would never know it because he was so soft-spoken. He had, like I said, he had no presence, but he was a fucking powerhouse as soon as he stepped into that dojo. And it was kind of scary at first because we had to do meditation, we had to do stretches, we had to do, versing people above and below your belt and stuff like that. So getting paired up with him was kind of scary because I was one of his students, but he was a fucking black belt, my God. And he was at the top of the chain, I was the white belt at the bottom of the chain, so he had to like be gentle with me. So there was that. Anyway, skipping forward, I know that's a lot of setup, but we got our gaming club, and being that all of us were of age to have like expensive things like Game Boys at school, especially for gaming club, we all had Game Boy Advances, and we all had the Zelda Link to the Past game, which had a side game on it called Four Swords, like I said earlier. Basically where Link pulls a sword called the Four Sword out of a stone, and he becomes four different Links of varying colors, and he also releases the villain for the game at the same time. And any multiplayer game that's built for four people, it's intended for four people. Like, you can play Smash Brothers with two people, you can play GoldenEye with two people, or freaking whatever other game you like, games like Halo with two people, but it's meant for the maximum number of people. You're meant to play GoldenEye with four people, or Smash Brothers, or whatever else, the Mario 3D Land, Mario 3D World, or whatever it is, where you can play with four people at the same time. Games like that are meant for four people. Four Swords, above all the others, was meant for four people. So, of course, being the sixth graders that we are, we basically drew straws on who would be what color Link, because there's a green Link, a red one, a blue one, and a purple one. And we're like, well, how do we decide who's going to be what? And, of course, again, being the sixth graders that we wore those colors to school every Thursday so we could point out to each other what color Link we were. I ended up being the blue Link. So every Thursday I would wear a blue shirt to school, and Jennifer would wear green because she was the green Link, and Alex would wear red, and then Aaron would wear purple. And that's those were the various colors. Jennifer got green, if only because she was kind of just the leader of our little clique. She knew about all the gaming stuff that was out there, what was cool, what wasn't, and when it was coming out, like a year in advance, and all the details that went with it. Alex, we gave red because he's a troll, and he still is. He'd be just as likely to pick you up and throw you down a hole playing Four Swords as he was to help you. And that continued on through D&D and Magic the Gathering and stuff. He was the type of gamer, even at that very young age, who just wanted to break the system, to just watch the world burn, to make other people miserable for his own amusement, and he didn't care how much you got offended or not. And it's being that we're all adults now, it's hard to call Alex my friend just because of his philosophy for gaming. But anyway, and we gave Aaron purple because that was the last color. Poor Aaron. I got blue. I think I don't remember the reason. There was a reason. I don't remember. Oh, you know what it was? I bet green and red got taken, and then we told Aaron to just pick a color, and then I took the last one. That's what it was. I asked him if he wanted blue or purple, and he said purple, so I took blue. So, we had the link cable. I think it takes 3 link cables. Those were the Game Boy Advance link cables that also had a little side thing to plug into, so you could have, not 1, not 2, but 3 link cables in order to play 4-player games. Now, there weren't very many 4-player Game Boy Advance games. This was before the advent of 4-player Pokemon matches where there's 2 Pokemon on each side, or any of that other stuff that you see, online Mario Kart and things like that. So playing 4 players with Game Boy was a big deal back then. And so every week we would play Four Swords. And like I said, this wasn't the Game Boy one, or the GameCube one. This was the original, just 4 levels. But we played them over and over and over again. Because you could get, I think, every time you finished a level, you would get a key. And that would be a silver key, a golden key, or a hero key. And if you got all the silver keys, then you could go to the last level. Then you could try it on a harder difficulty to get all the golden keys, and then try it on the last difficulty to get all the hero keys. And I don't remember what the differences were. I think maybe enemies hit harder, or you had to get more rupees to earn your key, or something like that. It did not get very difficult because we were all very adamant gamers, too good to be challenged by something 2D and Zelda oriented. We provided more challenge to each other than we did to actually than the game itself. So we played Four Swords for months, just every Thursday. And the other days after school, we kind of had to watch for Miss Grumpy Pants, who didn't want us playing Game Boys or anything at school. And, we saw her on and off, but she kind of backed off after we made a club, so we didn't see much of her anymore. And we played Yu-Gi-Oh! And we played other things that, 6th graders are prone to play. But for months, we played Four Swords, just over and over and over. Because each level was X amount of time. And, if you've only got an hour to play, a game with 4 levels and 3 levels of difficulty actually lasts a long time. And being that we were 6th graders and we had our own 4-person clique and we were each representing one of the links, we decided to make a 5th link. And since Mr. Lentz was kind of our hero for putting together our gaming club, we made it was a black link or a black and white stripe link or something like that. It was kind of goofy. And I drew a picture of it and stuff like that. And I used to say, what was it? Because he didn't pay much attention. Other than making sure we weren't killing each other, he wasn't there like playing the games with us. He was just like watching over us and doing paperwork and grading papers while we were there, since we were in his classroom. And we used to say stuff like, just like, what was it? It was like, bless you, fifth sword, or something like that. And I knew Mr. Lentz in a more spiritual sense, since I knew him from Taekwondo. I knew he could be very deep, very meditative. You could say things like that to him and he wouldn't make fun of you or roll his eyes or anything. We never said it to him. But and this story kind of has a sad end, but Mr. Lentz did not last as a teacher because, again, he just did not have that presence. He was not mean enough, not quote-unquote strong enough to be a teacher yet. And he was only there at our school for 1 year. And then when the school year was over, he left to join the United States Navy. And, more power to him. I don't know if he's out there defending our country or what he was doing or how, he could be commanding his own ship right now, for all I know. But, surviving basic and then boot or whatever they do to bring you into the Navy. Hopefully he toughened up. Maybe he came back to be a teacher. I don't know. But he left to join the Navy at the end of the year. And we were sad because we were going to have to find somebody else to like host our gaming club. And we did. But, it wasn't the same as Mr. Lentz. And I missed him when he was gone from the dojo and stuff like that. But his last day, it wasn't the last day of school because it was just that bad. The other kids basically chased him away. He was, I felt so bad for him because he was such a nice guy and so strong in freaking Taekwondo and so understanding. He would talk to you and not at you, despite how young we were compared to him. And his last day, we found his bag, me and I think it was Aaron, the purple link. Me and Aaron found his bag before we left. And we drew a picture of it, or we drew a picture of the 4 links, and he knew we were playing something together, the 4 of us. And we drew all 4 of the links, with like various features. Like Alex was fat, so Red Link was fat. And, Jennifer was a girl, so Green Link had boobs. And, Aaron was tall and skinny, so Purple Link was super tall. And, Blue Link was, or I was always like reading books way faster than everybody else. So Blue Link had a stack of books next to him. So we drew this. And, up above the rest of them, we drew like our black and white Link with like the sword held out, just something silly and goofy. You know how children get into that phase where like things have to be a set or things have to be like Power Ranger team themed kind of stuff. And we drew this black and white Link holding a sword like above the rest. And at the bottom we wrote, bless you, fifth sword. And we snuck it into his bag and we zipped it closed. And he came in right as we were leaving. So he knew something was up. But we never, we said goodbye to him. We did all this stuff. And, the other kids, goddamn, those kids. They were so fucking cruel to him. He was such a good teacher and such a good fighter. Such just everything. I don't even have words for how cruel they were to him. But we snuck it into his bag and zipped it shut. And, after saying our goodbyes, we never saw him again. So I'm sure he found it. And, I hope he knew what it meant or at least had some inkling. But if not for him, we would not have had our gaming club, because every teacher in the school was associated with something, whether it be a sports team or the academic team or the debate team or band or one of the other clubs. If not for him, we still would have been out in that alcove, getting bullied by that other teacher just because we were doing something fun while we wait for our parents to pick us up. God forbid. If not for him, none of that would have happened. So, Mr. Lentz, if you're out there, if you're on a destroyer in the middle of the Atlantic or under the sea in a submarine or at a school, wherever you may happen to be, bless you, Fifth Sword. I'll see you guys on the next D&D stories. Keep gaming.